The very person who raised a sword with the intention to kill the Prophet became Islam's greatest protector. After ruling for just 2 years, the first caliph, Hazrat Abu Bakr, passed away. But before his death, he clearly told everyone who the next caliph of the Muslims would be, Umar ibn Khattab. Today, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world, followed by almost 2 billion people. And there's not a single second that passes without the call to prayer, azan,
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar,
echoing from some corner of the world. In all this, Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu played a massive role. In just a few years, he built a Muslim empire bigger than anything the world had ever seen. Not even Alexander the Great or the pharaohs of Egypt had such power. But how did he do all this? To understand Hazrat Umar's radiallahu anhu personality, you first have to understand Makkah of that time. For centuries, one tribe had full control of Makkah, the Quraysh. Over time, this tribe grew so big that even the Quraysh were divided into many sub-tribes. Each of these sub-tribes had its own responsibilities to maintain peace in Makkah. The 3 most powerful tribes of Quraysh were Banu Hashim, Prophet Muhammad's sallallahu alaihi wasallam tribe. They had religious authority in Makkah because of the Kaaba. Their leaders were Abdul Muttalib and later Abu Talib. Banu Umayyah, this tribe was famous for its wealth. They controlled Makkah's entire economy. Their leader was Abu Sufyan. Banu Makhzum, the warriors of Quraysh. They handled all things related to war. They had the most weapons, and their leader was one of the most powerful, Abu Jahl. Hazrat Umar didn't belong to any of these 3 tribes. His tribe was Banu Adi, the diplomats and spokespeople of Quraysh. They were responsible for resolving internal conflicts and communicating with other tribes. His father, Khattab, was the leader of this tribe. That's where Umar got his skill of solving big problems through conversation and debate. But there was another side to him, his fierce temper. He was known to be short-tempered and aggressive. This side of his personality came from his mother, Hantama bint Hisham, who was from the warrior tribe Banu Makhzum. To understand her tribe's mindset, just know this. Hazrat Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu, the sword of Allah, was her nephew. So Umar learned diplomacy from his father's side and strength from his mother's side. After becoming the most powerful leader in the world, one day Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu was walking through the same place in Makkah where he used to herd camels as a child. He said, "Look at Allah's greatness. Once I was just a camel boy, and my father would beat me even for a small mistake. And now, there's no one between me and Allah." Hazrat Umar was born 12 years after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and was known for being tall and muscular. He was Makkah's top wrestler. People would say that when he walked in a crowd, it looked like everyone else was on the ground, and he was riding a camel. As he grew up, Umar became the leader of Banu Adi and started attending high-level Quraysh meetings. Soon, he became Quraysh's most talented spokesperson. He also started an import-export business, traveling between Makkah, Yemen, and Syria. At age 27, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam announced his prophethood and began inviting people to Islam. Because Umar was the spokesperson of Quraysh, he became one of Islam's strongest opponents. He even supported his uncle Abu Jahl in punishing Muslims. Before Islam, Umar wasn't seen as a pious man. He drank, gambled, and hated Islam so much that he once beat his slave nearly to death, just because the slave had accepted Islam. But slowly, Umar's heart started to change. One day, he saw a slave almost unconscious from being beaten by Abu Jahl. No one helped him, but Umar did. The slave said to him, "By Allah, you are better than both of them." Umar didn't understand what he meant, but the slave was referring to a dua made by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. "O Allah, guide one of the 2 Umars to Islam, Umar ibn Khattab or Umar ibn Hisham, Abu Jahl." Frustrated by all the chaos, one day Umar made a decision no one else dared to. He would kill the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He picked up his sword and headed straight to Dar al-Arqam, the Muslims' gathering place. But Allah had other plans. On the way, he met his best friend, who had secretly accepted Islam but never told Umar. When he found out where Umar was going, he got scared and said, "Before going to Muhammad, why don't you check what's happening in your own house?" That's when Umar rushed to his sister's home. She had already accepted Islam because of her husband, Sa'id bin Zayd radiallahu anhu, who was also Umar's cousin. Their family had long questioned the religion of Makkah, believing in the one God of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Umar stormed in and started beating Sa'id. His sister tried to stop him, so he hit her too. When he saw her bleeding, he felt bad and asked to read the Quran. After reading it, something in his heart shifted and he accepted Islam. He went straight to Dar al-Arqam, where the Muslims were terrified seeing him with a sword. Hazrat Hamza radiallahu anhu, who had recently accepted Islam, said, "Let him in. If he's here for good, welcome. If not, I'll kill him with his own sword." The Prophet ﷺ asked Umar, "Hasn't the time come for you to accept the truth?" And right there, Umar radiallahu anhu accepted Islam in front of everyone. Muslims shouted, "Allahu Akbar," so loud that the streets of Makkah echoed. It was the 6th year of prophethood. Umar was about 32 or 33. After him, the number of Muslims reached 50, 40 men, 10 women. He was the first powerful person to accept Islam openly. After that, Muslims started praying at the Kaaba openly without fear. Umar then told his uncle Abu Jahl and others that he was now Muslim. He even told Jamil bin Mamar, Makkah's loudspeaker, known for spreading news, quickly to make it public. And just like that, the whole of Makkah found out. After that, Umar radiallahu anhu dedicated his whole life to the Prophet ﷺ and Islam. He migrated to Medina, leaving behind his family and power. There, the Prophet ﷺ paired him with an Ansari companion, and they would take turns working and learning from the Prophet. 2 years after the migration came the Battle of Badr. Umar radiallahu anhu fought under Hazrat Hamza radiallahu anhu. After the battle, Umar said prisoners shouldn't be kept, but the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr RRA disagreed. Later, a Quranic verse was revealed agreeing with Umar's opinion. That's when he was given the title Al-Farooq, the one who distinguishes right from wrong. He was also deeply involved in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. When the Prophet ﷺ agreed to a seemingly unfair deal with the Quraysh, Umar radiallahu anhu was upset and questioned him directly. But later, when he saw how the treaty led to more people embracing Islam, he regretted his doubts and asked Allah for forgiveness. Eventually, the Prophet ﷺ married Umar's daughter, Hafsa radiallahu anha, and strengthened their bond even more. At the time of the Battle of Tabuk, Umar donated half of everything. Shortly after that, the Prophet ﷺ passed away. When Umar heard the news, he couldn't believe it. He stood in the mosque with his sword and said, "If anyone says the Prophet is dead, I'll cut off his head." He remembered that the Prophet ﷺ had once said Muslims would one day conquer both the Roman and Persian empires, and Umar couldn't believe he would die before seeing that happen. But what he didn't know was that Allah would fulfill that prophecy through his own hands in the Battle of Yarmouk and Qadisiyah. Subscribe.